Cyclist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
How's it going, Steve?
Doing well. How about you?
It's warm out there.
It's warm up here.
It's warm. It's super warm.
It just shut off. I should have taken this long sleeve shirt off, but I'll be all right.
Yeah. Wednesday, froze to death up here. Today, I wish I had some shorts on.
Well, it's hot outside. When I took the dogs out this morning, the sun hit me, and I was like,
nice.
Oh.
Nice weather. Downside is, because we got rain and stuff yesterday too, and then melt today, is anything dirt roads, dirt driveways, thus dirt road I live on, dirt driveway, will be a sheet of ice later. But the bright side, things are melting. It feels more spring-like.
It does. It's kind of early, though, right?
It's very early. It will change again, and we'll be dealing with snow again and stuff, I'm sure, and cold weather. Hopefully nothing like we had last weekend, but yeah, it's kind of nice.
It's a nice break.
It is a nice break. Yeah. Yes, I'm trying to think. We had a non-public last night for the school board, and then so after that, it was getting late too. I'm like, oh no, I gotta hurry up, because I went to dinner at the tavern where me, you, and Nikki and Andrew went that one time. And,
in Claremont?
In Claremont, yeah. And I got that crab ragoon dip thing again. That was so good. I got a burger, smash burger. Andrew got a salad. It was like $9 for a salad. It was huge. It was a big salad. And then my burger's good and stuff. It was really good. I like going there. Glad you guys one time. I don't know, a few months back.
No, we need to go back. My mom asked me just the other day. She's like, "Have you been back there?" Yeah.
It's funny because you go there and it feels like a pizza place. It just has that look. And usually, pizza place is a pizza place. It's not the food's. The food here is like really good. It's nice restaurant good. So if you haven't tried the tavern, here's some free sponsoring for them on the square there in Claremont. Check it out. It's good. It's really good. Good service, good food. So something else new. Doug Ring sponsoring the show. He dropped that off yesterday, I guess, when we were in non-public, and he actually went to call me, and so I've texted him after him, like, oh yeah, sorry. And then Andrea said this morning, like, oh hey, he dropped this off to you last night. Like, oh cool. I think he said Dale Flellen did his logo, all that for him. So
looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
We need to get a logo for the show.
We do. I'm super excited. After last show, I went home and started to work on our new setup.
It looks like you almost finished it.
The top's almost done. I just got to figure out how to hook it down, because I don't want to screw it, because I don't want to see screw holes. But I'm like, I don't know if the nail gun nails will hold it well, because we have to still bring it up here.
Well, it looks like you need to keep it in 3 pieces and then assemble it up here.
It'll fit. I measured the stair. I measured everything. It'll be heavy, but I think I'm going to epoxy coat the top of it. So instead of just polying it, which would make it shiny, if I epoxy it, it'll be smooth, with no cracks, no nothing. We'll see. But I'm super excited. I can't wait to get that. I just can't wait to get the new setup. I actually ordered some stuff too through B&H Photo Video. That'll be here so that your mic, not your mic, your headphones will plug in here, and you can adjust the volume yourself if it's too low or high. Got the cord that your dog chewed off the other ones.
Well, I need to use some money for that.
Nah,
it was, yeah.
But it was cheap. It wasn't super expensive. So, but anyways, so I got little things like that. So really excited. We're trying to really step this up, So
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
It's nice for me. I just got to walk outside and walk upstairs.
That's true. Turn the heat on.
Turn the heat on, which I failed on Wednesday. Put the chapters on. Our last video had a lot of chapters.
That's good, though. That helps break it up. That's a big part of it.
In case you don't want to hear what our thoughts are on
I made like a new little intro last show, and this show I'll add to a little bit because I had Doug's thing, and then we're just gonna keep adding. And now that I don't care about being monetized on YouTube because that's a joke, complete utter joke. You have to have, what was it, 10,000 followers or no, 1,000 followers, 1,000 watch minutes. We've been on for like, I don't know. Well, this is show number 90, but we took a big pause. But it's been like 7 months or whatever it's been, and the number of watch hours, like just like fluctuates up and down. You can't unwatch something you've watched. So basically, the only people that are gonna pay, and they probably pay pennies anyways, is someone with like 1 million followers and that, you know, some crazy YouTube thing, whatever. So, because one time I put royalty-free music on, which it's royalty-free. Put it on the show, and then YouTube says, "Oh, you can't. That's copyrighted music." I'm like, no, it's not. I took it from the freaking website that says, you know. So I found this new website, which it's free, but then some of the features on it, like here's a sample, and then you have to pay for like. And I'm really tempted because there's a lot of things you can get off it, like music, and it's all royalty-free stuff, like that you can use, and or they have the licensing.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
I just throw that out there now with everything.
We should just put the beginning of the show.
Just
Allegedly,
according to
the once and only time per show you'll have to hear it, like allegedly, and we'll cover it. So we covered every show no matter what. So
everything we're saying is all alleged.
Yes, allegedly.
Fact check us, but
yeah, have at that, you know.
But you should always go and look up because we might misinterpret something.
Yeah, I mean we could, but
I mean, yeah, we could.
Most of the stuff we talk about, it's like, this is not.
Well, that's the weird thing is a lot of stuff is you would think would be very obvious, but some it's not.
Yeah, we'll get in like a little later in the show. We'll get into like, just Andrew was like, you know, what's up? You know, like because we were at dinner last night, and I'm just fuming, you know, from stuff that we can't talk about, and I like want to come right on the show and talk about it all and talk about, you know, whatever, but I can't because it's part of the board, right? It's part of the job of, you know, and there's things that you can't discuss, and then down the road there'll be things that you can discuss because it's, you know, gone from that behind closed doors to whatever. But I was like, I don't even need that. I just need to fire it up, like, because me fired up, I think better and I act like I just work better. Like it's kind of the opposite. Some people like get all fired up and their brain just scatters and they can't deal. Me, when I get fired up like that, my brain just goes into overtime, like, or overdrive, and it's like, okay, how do we fix this? How do we do this? Because I'm done with it. Like I'm just like, so.
I repeat myself a lot when I'm fired up.
See, I get
because I want to make sure that exactly what I'm saying and feeling is understood. Because I don't know. I like to think that I can read people fairly well. And if I sense that someone's not following or agreeing or they're missing something, then I'll just repeat it because it's like, to me, it's very logical and rational. But I can see in someone's eye sometimes like, maybe you're a little, no. I like to think that I am a pretty fair and easygoing guy. Like I can get fired up. But to go to your point, I think and respond better on deadlines. Like you need to get fired up. Like I need the pressure of, I only got
you get
a day, 12 hours, 6 hours. You know what I mean? Like that forces me to dump it all out, and then I can.
You can get up in front of people like at the Deliberate and talk and do a great job just from the start. Me, I have to get fired up inside, and don't have to be mad, just kind of fired up about something to get up there.
Well, hey, you caught me when at the deliberative where I participated in the call with the Department of Education and the School Board Association, and I still didn't bring that up. But that was the main reason why we allocated money towards teachers at the high school, even though we're wanting to make sure that we improve Richards. But I appreciate that. That was one of those things where even though I used to be a lot more comfortable talking in front of big groups. Like I could get up in front of thousands if I had to and talk. And now I'm a little rusty, a little shaky. You know what I mean? Like,
You're primed up to be the next freaking chair of the school board, which means graduation. That'll be a few hundred easy. That's the only thing.
Well, see, to me, if that happens, and that to me that would be something enjoyable. Because it's a positive thing.
It's awesome. Awesome. I would love to do it, but I'm like...
will be like to cut off and not over-talk, because I do like to over-talk.
Well, you need to write your speech.
Oh, yeah, I do. Like,
and
when
I'll keep you on point. I'll throw a tomato or something at you.
No, I used to have to do speeches quite regularly in the Army.
Well, you can tell. You get up in front of people.
And so you just double space it, put it at about 16 pitch font.
Because the school, like, they have an advantage.
16-point font.
The teachers are always talking in front of people all the time. The administration, that's what they do. Now, there's a few of them, like maybe Bree and Carrie, that are more behind the scenes. And they get, like, okay, because it's not really what they do every single day. But most of them, it's what they do every single day. And it's like, you have such an advantage. Like, and me, I'm like, I remember public speaking is...
I was talking, and I might have mentioned this a few months back on the show. If I did, I apologize. But we had a really good speech teacher in high school. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were punk teenagers, and so, we probably were slightly disrespectful when we shouldn't have been. But, like, if you talk to any of us that had that class, like, she really helped all of us be able to get up and speak. Like we did Toastmasters or something. Like, I mean, it was a really good class, and it was just giving speeches, being able to get up in front of people and communicate, articulate your point. And then, I also did Lincoln Douglas debate in high school. So, like, I like to get up and have conversations because I think it makes you smarter. It helps educate you, and you hopefully are helping educate others if you're right in your information, and then you can get smarter. Like, for me, it's all about finding the information that's correct. For no other reason, just to know that I have the correct information. It's kind of weird. That's my motivation, Timothy.
I was like talking to Lizzie, who's running for Carnival Queen tonight, and originally she was going to do like a gymnastics kind of thing because she's done cheer through school, but she hurt her ankle, and so she can't. So she's going to sing. And so, how are you at singing? She's like, good if I'm not nervous. And I was like, and I was like, the only advantage is I think when you're up there, you're going to know you're in front of everybody, but usually the lights are bright enough you can't see except for like the first row or two maybe, which is an advantage, right? Because try to zone out, the crowd, but...
yeah, that's kind of what I do whenever I start talking. Like, I look above everybody's heads. Every once in a while I might make eye contact if I recognize somebody, but like... I feel that not making eye contact, not really focusing on anything, you kind of turn into Will Ferrell from Old School when he did the debate. I don't know if you remember that scene, but he's a moron, and all of a sudden he gets up there and he spouts off all these facts and a great argument. At least that's how they point it out. And then he's like, "What happened? What did I say? I don't know where I am." But you know what I mean? That's kind of like that idea that you look out into those bright lights and you're like, "Wait, what happened? Did I sing?" So hopefully that's how it goes for her, as she just zones out into the...
I hope so. Like, yeah.
Because that's impressive to get up there and be able to perform, even if you do mess up. God forbid, man. Like, you're taking a shot, and you have guts that a lot of other people don't. So I commend all of those young ladies.
I don't know if you saw, but Brent Wilmot is the master of ceremonies tonight at the Winter Carnival.
Oh.
I think in the past it was... Anthony DePaulo did it. DePaulo.
Bringing back the old chief, giving him a little...
Yeah. He's perfect at that.
Yeah.
He's so good at that stuff. Like Dancing with the Stars, he was a freaking rock star up there. Like, he's good. So, unfortunately, I'm going to miss it. I got Jeff Dunham tonight with Lydia and Uncle Fred, and originally Devin, but Devin's sick, so I told you, hey, you should go with us. But Winter Carnival's been full swing, really getting going tonight. And good luck to all the girls running for Carnival Queen.
Yeah.
I think there was 6 of them. No, it's awesome. And and
all the townsfolk and the students that are going to be performing. Yeah. It's a whole production.
Great, yeah. And you have all these princes and princesses. Yeah, I love Winter Carnival. It seems every year it's the same thing though. It seems to always get warm this week or up to it where
Yeah, it's happened to all 4 years I've lived here.
Seems to happen.
Even though like the first 2 winters were kind of bad, like during Winter Carnival, it's like, well, there goes the ice rink. Like the ice rink melts.
Yes. Like tonight they're supposed to have ice skating and stuff, from 10 to midnight or something, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Now maybe I know it's supposed to get tomorrow's supposed to be like 32 for a high, so that's good. So tomorrow they'll probably be really good. Maybe tonight, depends on the temperature drops, because right now it feels like I don't know what the real temp is, but it's got to be close to 40 because it's pretty nice.
No, it's nice out. When I walked outside to let the dogs out, the sun hit me. I just sat down in my little chair, drank my coffee.
Like I'm starting to see the driveway over by like the garage and stuff that I hadn't seen for a month now with the snow and all that. So I'm like, oh, it's kind of getting nice. Like
you saw it, and you're like, man, I need to order more rocks.
I don't know, yeah,
Gravel.
So much stuff to do. It's like insane. But yeah, good luck to those girls. One of the coolest things I noticed that the Newport Economic Facebook page, I think they're the ones that shared it. It might have been the Opera House, but so it was a picture of like the girls, and there was a couple questions like, I think it was like future plans, but one of the questions was, what do you love about Newport? And it was about the same for everybody. It was small, unique little town. It was just cool to see that they all had the same real impression of it. They're all a little bit different, but they were really the same. You know what I'm saying? It was cool because I like to know those things, right? You like to.
No, I living around here, and I mean, it's been a good experience, right? Like we have our flaws in the town that we need to work on, and we have disagreements or whatever. But even Zeta, who was like, I'm going to live in a city, and then after living here, she's like, wherever I settle down, if it's not, back there, it's going to be a small town where, everybody kind of knows each other and helps each other out. That was like her experience.
We have the perfect, beautiful downtown with Common and the just, we do. I mean, yeah, sure.
It's like that picture you put up on the show last time, our background. That's downtown in the fall.
It's just
looks just like, growing up in Texas, reading about New England, and I say it all the time, the Revolutionary War, like this is exactly what I expected the town to look like. You go meet up on the Common, everybody discusses and figures out if they're a redcoat, or a loyalist or revolutionary. I could see it, you know what I mean? Like I could really, every time I go downtown, it's just awesome.
It is.
It's like a history lesson.
Yeah, it's just cool, like with the statue. It's just
like the kids are able to walk down on, Memorial Day, and because we have the memorial statue there.
They do the cannon and the whole ceremony down there. We went to the last Memorial Day. It was so nice. Like, so for all the negatives, like,
now, don't get me wrong. There's some things we got to fix around here, but
sure.
At the end of the day,
but that's everywhere too. It's like I've been watching more of that. I don't know if I told you I was watching that show on Flint, Michigan, Flint Town. It's called Flint Town. I don't think I was telling Linda. I didn't tell you about it. So, so in our bedroom we only have like the Roku. We have cable in the living room, but we didn't have it set up when the cable came. So, whatever. So, kind of like I'm trying to find stuff on Netflix, and Netflix is great, but if you have it for a little while, then you're like, when are you gonna start adding some more stuff? Because I've kind of seen this, or I don't care about this, or. But anyways, this thing called Flint Town, and I know about Flint as in the water. I don't know anyone that doesn't know that. Like it was national news. Like the water was.
You mean the one that President Obama pretended to drink?
Yeah, there ain't no way in hell he drank. Yeah,
no, I think
just like when Johnny Cash drank the water at Fulton Prison, and he threw it. Yeah, no. So anyways, there's a whole series on it, and I don't even know how many episodes there are because it says limited or whatever. But I'm at like number 5 now. So, but it's basically shadowing or following the police department, and not only so Flint has 100,000 residents. Or at least at the time of when they shot this, it did. They originally had 300 police officers, and then they were down to 98 for 100,000 people. The Newport has what?
6,000 some odd.
Yeah, but probably have what? 13 to 15 officers ish, between the chief and stuff, which this includes like the 98 was that. So I'm like, holy crap. Like, that's scary. Like, scary. And
yeah, you got to be able to protect yourself.
And they constantly have shootings. It's bad. There's probably places safer to walk in, like Afghanistan, than there is in some of these cities. Like, the police officers were like, hey, make sure you have your trauma kit with you. They train that if you get shot, your partner throws you in the cruiser and brings you to the hospital. You don't wait for an ambulance. They have, like, bug-out bags that has food and water, so if they're, like, crazy. And then add in this whole water thing, which so starts to show with the mayor who was mayor is no longer mayor. He was, someone else was elected because I guess so part of what happened is they used to get the water from, I think it's like Huron, and to save money, they went to whatever the river was out there. But when they did that, it like broke all this lead and crap out of the water. Like, it totally messed the water system up. So that's like the start of it. And there was like a police chief. And then the new mayor comes in. The police chief gets fired. And then they get another police chief in, which this guy seems pretty decent. The only thing I watched out last night on it, which really pissed me off, but they had a store that the city shut it down, like locked it up because a lot of crime was happening outside of the store, not inside, outside. And they go to court and they're like, well, yeah, we want to close this guy's business permanently. And the judge is like, but this stuff's happening outside the store, right? Not in his control. Well, yeah. And I'm like, this is the United States of freaking America. You have no goddamn right to freaking close that dude's business. I don't care if someone's shot out there. I mean, I do, but shot out there every day. It's not the business owner's problem. Let's park a cruiser right there and just stay there. That's substation number one. Like, that pissed me off. He won in court at first, and we'll see how the series goes on and see if it gets closed. But the other thing one of the guys said is they're talking about, like, this wouldn't happen in the white part of Flint. And I'm like, well, does that tell you something? Like, if it's not happening there, but it's happening here, then what's wrong here? Like, what, you know what I'm saying?
What's the difference?
Exactly.
It's not just skin color. It's got to be something else going on.
But then he says, and I'm like, he says there's like 15 liquor stores in the black and brown district, right? But the white district, no. Like, so it was kind of like...
Well, it's like during COVID, they shut down everything but liquor stores.
Yeah.
You know, not everything, but a lot of things. But liquor stores could stay open.
So perhaps alcohol is a contributing factor to some of this, right? But why do the black neighborhoods and the brown neighborhoods have like 15 times the liquor stores than the white neighborhoods? And don't tell me it's because, well, white people drink less. No. That's bullshit. Like, probably more white people drink wine or whatever, women or middle-class women or whatever, but no. So is that a contributing factor? Like, we put these liquor stores there to just bring the whole thing down more? I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it's more than just like
it's way more. But
color of skin type thing. It's
right.
And now there might be different policies. Maybe it's laws or regulations the city has set up that, like, you can't have a liquor store outside this radius. You know what I mean? So there might be laws that encourage it or promulgate it, but it's interesting.
You keep in mind,
are they looking at it from that perspective? Or are they going down to to try to actually figure it out, or are they just saying it's white versus black? Because that's a cop out. Because if it is less crime, and we want less crime in the inner city,
right? Like he was saying, well, maybe.
So how do we get it there?
All these liquor stores are contributing to this. Like, that was his kind of perspective. He was one of the detectives or the police officers, and this is a city that has.
Well, yeah, he's looking at patterns,
right? So this city now, it originally had a white mayor, male, and there was a black lady. Had a black chief before, has a black chief now. Police department was pretty mixed of, black, white, whatever, Hispanic or whatever. But during the episode I watched last night there was a shooting in Dallas where this dude murdered 5 police officers. And I guess to take this guy out because he was so well armed, like the bomb squad made a bomb put it on a robot and brought it in and blew this dude up. Like, that's the only way they took him out.
Dallas, Texas?
Mm-hmm.
This was after that.
This must have been like 16, 17, 2016.
Yeah, this is right after they were going to do that show where they were going to draw Muhammad. Is that what it was? Wasn't that all about the same
it
time?
was something there.
But like it was like
Yeah.
right after, around that, and
Yeah. But anyway, so, you know, these cops are all like, you know, just saw these 5 police officers murdered. And it's interesting, you know. And then obviously some of the officers are black, and it's like, well, they hate.
2019 is when it happened.
All right, so it was 19, yeah. Yeah, because the show starts at like 2015, kind of shows it, and it. But like this guy's like, well, I'm an officer and I'm black, and it's like, how do you know? But some of these people, they're literally just hated because they're police officers. They don't care what color your skin is. Like, we hate cops, and it's like, okay, well, you need to fix that. You know,
Hey,
don't know how you do it exactly.
I'll tell you what so my wife's cousin is a police officer, and I was talking to him on the phone the other night, and he was wanting to know, you know, why do you have such a bad perception of police officers? And so I told him all my stories, right? Like my brother and I getting pulled over in the golf cart, you know, like just random things where, like getting pulled over in South Carolina, I was going slower than anybody else as the thing changed, and it was, you know, it's because I had Texas plates. That's my assumption, right? Because I was getting passed by everybody else. There was nothing else wrong with my car. I didn't have a tail light out. It was, oh, you're going 65 and a 55. And it's like, it just switched 10 feet behind me. Like, I mean, he literally pulled me over. I could still see it in my rear view. So I told him like these 5 or 6 different things. I was like, now, those are 5 or 6 instances where my own personal experiences, these cops were out of control. They had like, you know, they were just showing their authority or whatever with no real reason why. Like, no, from my perspective, no rhyme or reason. Like, got pulled over in Louisiana, just had to go meet somebody and give him a couple $100 cash, and the ticket went away. You know, like this. So like, there's corruption, there's all kinds of things. So it is out there, and you know, like we talked with Chief Wilmot when he was the chief here, and like and I've talked to the police officers out here, totally different experience, right? But it just takes the one bad experience, and that's what I was trying to explain to Nikki's cousin, Nick, is like, hey man, like I get it, you're a good guy, and you're going to do everything you can to protect us, but there's always a jackass, just like in the military. There's always bad apples. There's bad apples in every organization out there. And I was like, and sometimes the bad apples get the most press.
Yeah.
And in my case, I just had bad experiences that are like,
Right.
like, you know, granted, you pulled me over at 2:30 in the morning when the bars close at 2, and I got a car full of people. All right, like, you're profiling me. Don't act like I was speeding, because I wasn't. That's so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, you were speeding. No. I had a radar detector. I wasn't speeding because I knew the bars were closing. I knew there were probably going to be drunk people all around me. I had like 5 or 6 people in the car that I was responsible for. And then this guy's going to pull me over. Like, so that I have bad experiences that, like, I talk with Chief, or, you know, Wilmot, Officer Bodette. Like, I interact with all of our cops, and it's a great experience. I went and spoke for them to get pay raises, or
Right.
because I appreciate them. But I still, deep down, like, the lights come on behind me, and I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I'm automatically thinking, well, this is a jackass cop. I mean, that's just and
Yeah, Steve, you forgot your coffee on your roof. Oh, sorry.
yeah, well, exactly.
Who's the
Until they say
jackass now?
But I try to, like, get over that, right, by communicating. Because if I really thought all cops were bad, then I wouldn't even want to talk with Chief Wilmot, right? Like, I'd be like, he's bad. Like, I know that it's the bad apples, but, you know, like, you see cop car lights turn on behind you, and you don't think that you're doing anything right. You might have a tail light out or whatever, right? Like, but how often is that the case?
Right. And I think it's perspective. Like, I think that's the biggest thing.
Like, Nikki has no problem. She gets pulled over all the time.
Female.
She I'm like, hey, you're going like 6 miles over, man. Like, we live in this town. Like, slow down. You've been in the car with me. I'm like very.
You
adamant.
drive like an old man. Your wife drives like freaking
Mario Andretti.
Yeah, she drives like a race car driver, and dude, my ex-wife been pulled over like at least 200 times, and I'm not exaggerating that number.
But like Nikki, like I don't,
Never got a ticket ever.
like I get pulled over, and it doesn't happen very often. But like immediately my arm, like even just talking about it, I'm sweating in my armpits, like because it makes me nervous because of especially the thing that happened when I was like 12 with the cop on the golf cart right in front of the driveway, put my brother in the back of the car, and it's like, dude, everybody around here drives their golf carts, and my brother worked at the driving range, picking up golf balls. You know what I mean? So like,
see, my ex was just the queen of manipulation because she'd always have her boobs out and she'd just smile she just was good. She never got a ticket ever.
Nikki got one in St. Louis.
Even a female cop pulls her over, she didn't get a ticket. Because usually it's like, yeah, you're all thinking, oh, I'm not getting a ticket. And then a female cop comes up and it's like, oh, shit. I don't know. I think, too, my perspective is different because I was on the fire department. In the fire department, you work hand in hand with the police department so much. So, and those guys knew me.
Hey, my sister-in-law was a military police officer. Like, I have lots of cops that I'm around. I still, like, all right, let's change the topic. It could be the heat in here, but I have a feeling it's because we're talking about cops. Have the new chief come in here and freaking handcuff me.
Well, I was going to talk about this later in the show. Might as well just mention now, being we're on the topic. But so Chief Lee's coming in Thursday next week. Provided nothing, comes up. But he just messaged me and I said, hey, because the night he was sworn in, I messaged him, congratulations, and you should come on the show. And he's like, oh, thanks, Tim. And then no response to the show part. And I'm like, So I sent the message again, like, hey, you should come on the show. And he's like, I'll do that, but
he's like, you guys are ridiculous.
No politics. And I was like, that's fine. We never talk politics with Brent. I respect your position. I will respect anyone to come in here. Like, if you know what I'm saying? Like, just because we talk about politics, talk about very touchy topics, and we don't care, we just do it, doesn't mean we have to do it with you. I'm not some investigator. No, I just want you to come in so we can talk about stuff going on in town.
You need any help with anything you're noticing?
Exactly. I respect your position,
Yeah, I mean, he could be in here for 10 minutes and just give us...
Yeah, so...
But I think it'll also help because I don't know anything about Chief Lee.
Right, so let's talk about your background. I already have a little story about him. The littlest bit I know is when he came in the store... when we had the store, so I can't wait to mention that to him and stuff. But no, that'd be great because then the people. I mean, he's been with Newport for a while now, but people that don't know, hey, tell a little bit about your background, whatever. So excited getting him in here, and hopefully we can get this to be a weekly segment like it was with Brent, and kind of get some more of that stuff going. And I'm working on getting some other people in here too. And like I said, I'm excited about the setup because then we can do 3 people real easy. I'm just super excited to step this up. But yeah, so Chief Lee's coming in. So you might want to wear some sort of shirt that doesn't make you sweat next Thursday.
I'm going to turn the heat up and make him sweat. I'm just kidding.
You're like, what the hell? Why is it so hot in here, Steve? He's got so much money. He just lets it.
No, but I mean, just for the audience's perspective, I was brought up to respect police officers, adults in general.
Yeah.
My elders, I'll still open a door for anybody. I mean, even if you were walking in, I'd open the door for you just because it's polite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, some people think that that's a antiquated whatever. Man, just whatever.
No. So the
politeness, and that goes a long way with getting rid of all the other stuff in society. If everybody just respects each other a little bit more.
Right.
I respect the older generations, and so when, somebody older than me talks or whatever, but yes, sir, yes, ma'am, maybe not all the time, you know what I mean?
No, because
we deal with Bert Spalding Sr. all the time, but, if I didn't talk with him all the time, I'd be like, yes, sir, yeah. And every once in a while, I still say that to him, just because he's an older gentleman.
Yeah.
Miss Irwin, even though, she told me I can't go to the town meetings anymore, but I'm still, respectful. What? I haven't been back to a town meeting since...
Oh, kahunas.
Biddy Irwin said, oh, your shadow school board.
Well, that was because we were talking about the school.
Well, we went there because they had 17 things on the deliberative coming up.
Well, the town meeting, yeah.
And Bert started talking about the school. And then they're like, oh, you're on the school board. What do you think? And I was like, and so I stood up and I gave my opinion. But that doesn't mean I was doing a shadow school board. I mean, it was like you and Bert were the only ones in there. Every town meeting, Bert goes there. So, like, because we're on the school board now, we can't go to a meeting that Bert goes to. I understand it. Like, if now that you're on the school board,
Well, yeah.
it would be kind of like now, like in hindsight, I would walk out of there
But you don't have
if y'all
to.
started talking about the school. But you're not really in cahoots. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just
Just because you're on your board doesn't mean you surrender your right as a
it's just-
citizen to
basically
speak.
that's how it came across. Was like, well, now you can't go to the school or the town meetings anymore.
Just like if someone comes up to you and says, hey, what do you think about this? It's your opinion.
Yeah, we
And,
don't,
and maybe your opinion, even as a school board member with the insight, but it's your opinion. Until the five of us vote on it, it's not the school board's opinion.
true.
So doesn't matter if all five of us are at the friggin' meeting.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what I say. Like, I can talk to somebody and be like, yeah, I agree with you, but if
Right.
we all vote on it and
Right. And then,
I
like,
lose.
wait, I thought you agreed with me, but then you voted on the board. But because sometimes you don't know the backstory. You don't know. It's so much more complicated than it seems. Some things aren't. Lots of things are. And it's like, that's probably the biggest awakening of it all. Like,
welcome to the bureaucracy.
yeah, and I hate bureaucracy. I hate.
There's one or two instances where it's good, but most of the time it's garbage.
Yeah.
Well, look at it. Like with the clips that we're going to watch today, we can talk about.
We can in a minute. Yeah, we can talk about that. One other thing I just wanted to mention, kind of, we're out. So, anyways, check out if you have Netflix. You want to check out that Flint Town. It's actually pretty good. They didn't even talk about the water situation too much yet. Like, I'm wondering if they'll get into that. I don't even know.
How many episodes is it?
I don't know. It doesn't really say. I mean, I didn't click on the thing that maybe I'll tell you, but I like those shows too. Anyways, like I like those. A&E does a lot of them, these police shows or whatever. But it's interesting. It's because I know about the water, but I don't know anything else about Flint Town. I didn't know it was a huge city that was a car manufacturer, and that's a little north of Detroit, and I didn't know any of that stuff. I just know it's a city or a
Well, it
place
used
that
to.
had bad water.
As they shipped the car industry down to
Mexico
or Canada, South Carolina, wherever they have like non-union laws, right? Isn't that why they moved a lot to?
Yeah, they destroyed that area.
Yeah, so they all picked up and left, and there's economic downturn there. It's kind of like up here, the wool factories all left.
Yeah, mills.
Mills, yeah.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, it's. So, anyways, if you're interested in a series on something, it's interesting. So, saw this headline the other day, and I think it's funny. And Disney will cut 7,000 jobs in an attempt to turn profits. Disney Plus loses subscribers for the first time. And what I think is funny about that is like, go woke, go broke.
Dude, everything is like man.
You want to play
They killed Luke
games?
Skywalker, and so Disney's been dead to me since 20 whatever that year that movie came out.
Steve's very caught up on this whole killing Luke Skywalker thing.
Well, it's not that they killed him; they killed like
the character of
the
him.
character of
Yeah.
him. He actually also died or whatever, but like they totally ruined him. Totally, and that's what communists do. By the way, they subvert your culture. They kill everything that you like. They redo it. I saw like a meme. It was on like Meme the Left on like YouTube, like every day. Like they put out like a 1.5-minute video of different memes, and I find memes compelling because usually there's a bit of truth or a lot of truth to them, and then you can start digging in. I don't know. I like memes. What does that meme say? It said, shit, I just pontificated about meme the left, and I forgot my meme.
It's not the meme you sent me, right?
No, that's a
So we're
different
going to
one.
talk about that
Yeah,
after.
there's so many good different memes. But anyway, the bottom line is, it was about Disney. The meme was, and I forgot the actual pa-dum-bum part, but it was basically making fun of this because they subverted culture. Marvel, look what they done to Marvel. Look what they did to Star Wars, the whole entire Star Wars thing. Because they'll have like a good story and they'll still find a way to ruin it. Oh, the meme was like, actually it goes back to Netflix, but it was basically it was making fun of like all the subscribers, but it was like, here's an idea. I'm broke. I need money. What can I do? And somebody was like, hey, take this old show from 1980, make everybody gay, and Netflix will give you $100 billion, or Disney Plus. So that was the meme. But, you know, like just take the old characters. Instead of someone coming up with something new.
Right.
Like if you look at The Last of Us, when that video game, the first one first came out, has LGBTQ character. Gamers all loved it. But yet you'll find a lot of stuff saying that, oh, gamers are all misogynist, sexist. No. It's like the Star Wars fans, the gamer fans. It's one thing to have a character, a new IP, but then to take something that we loved and grew up with for the last 20, 30, 50 years and then totally rewrite everything about them, like making Superman transgender. The Joker now is pregnant, allegedly. I don't know if that was a joke or not. But you know what I mean? Like they do all these things, and it's like, who wants to read that?
Because they can't create anything on their own.
The majority of people in America don't want to read that.
Right.
The 20% of Gen Z that allegedly identifies in that way, and then the progressively smaller. So they're making all these shows for 20% or less of the population? Probably more like 4%.
It goes back to trying to destroy a culture and...
Yeah, it's communism. And anyway. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Disney's cutting some.
They took on DeSantis, and if all goes well with DeSantis there, like they're going to be in. There will be no more tax loopholes for them. They won't get to enforce all their own laws, and like it's kind of like the Vatican, but it's Disney. It's a freaking business, man. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why did we give them that? No, not we, but why did Florida give them that?
That's a rabbit hole you should go down sometime. I've been down it, and I'm not going to pontificate on it here, but. It's a crazy rabbit hole. How they got all those permissions and who they worked with to get them. Go down that rabbit hole one night when you're bored. Lots of good reading on that.
So we have 2 videos, but I want to break them up because they're. Well, I might cut them down a little bit though because I want to get to the point of it. But so the first one is Representative from South Carolina, Nancy Mace. And this is over Twitter. Basically, some ex-executives, because Elon already fired these people, but basically talking about the censorship. Well, it's about Hunter Biden's laptop, but then censorship in general. And
well, yeah, she starts, but I think the clip that you have keyed up for us, she switches from the laptop over to medical.
Yeah, from laptop to medical. Basically, Twitter pick and choose who got to speak and who didn't get to speak, and
while working with the government without oversight.
Yeah.
So it's one thing if the FBI is coordinating with Twitter to like block something, and the FBI briefs Congress if that's what they're doing, because then Congress can have oversight, and so that whenever somebody sues, like, hey, what's going on here? You're violating my First Amendment right. Congress can be like, well, no. You know, we deemed this a national security threat. We approved it. We know that they're doing this. There's no oversight. So, and I don't agree with censorship at all.
Right.
Like, I am a free speech advocate. Say whatever you want, so that I know whether or not to avoid you or continue conversations with you.
Yeah. Check out this clip.
Mr. Chairman, the Twitter files were not just about Hunter Biden's laptop. Twitter files make it apparent Twitter worked overtime to suppress accurate COVID information. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya is a professor of medicine at Stanford who once tweeted an article he wrote about natural immunity. Thanks to Elon Musk's release of the Twitter files, we learned some of his tweets were tagged with the label of Trends Blacklist. Apparently, the views of a Stanford doctor are disinformation to you people. I, along with many Americans, have long-term effects from COVID. Not only was I a long hauler, but I have effects from the vaccine. It wasn't the first shot, but it was the second shot that I now developed asthma that has never gone away since I had the second shot. I have tremors in my left hand, and I have the occasional heart pain that no doctor can explain, and I've had a battery of tests. I find it extremely alarming Twitter's unfettered censorship spread into medical fields, and affected millions of Americans by suppressing expert opinions from doctors and censoring those who disagree with the CDC. I have great regrets about getting the shot because of the health issues that I now have that I don't think are ever going to go away. And I know that I'm not the only American who has those kinds of concerns. Another example of what Twitter has done to censor folks is from Dr. Martin Koldorf, a Harvard-educated epidemiologist, who once tweeted, "COVID vaccines are important for high-risk people and their caretakers. Those with prior natural infection do not need it, nor children." The Twitter files reveal this tweet was deemed false information because it ran contrary to the CDC. So my first question this morning of Ms. Gaddy, may I ask of you, where did you go to medical school?
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought. Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter had the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals. We were seeing...
You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors, doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced those voices. My next question is, did the U.S. government, I have another chart I want to show you, Ms. Gaddy. I have another tweet by someone with a following of a full 18,000 followers. This person put a chart from the CDC on Twitter. It's the CDC's own data, so it's accurate by your standards, and you all labeled this as misleading. You're not a doctor, right, Ms. Gaddy?
No, I'm not.
Okay. What makes you think you or anyone else at Twitter have the medical expertise to censor actual, accurate CDC data?
I'm not familiar with these particular situations.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not. But this is what Twitter did. They labeled this as inaccurate. It is the government's own data. It's ridiculous that we're even having to have this conversation today. It's not just about the laptop. This is about medical advice that expert doctors were trying to give Americans because social media companies like Twitter were silencing their voices. I have another question, my last one for you, Ms. Gaddy. Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to pressure Twitter to moderate or censor certain tweets? Yes or no?
We have a program.
Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to censor or moderate certain tweets? Yes or no?
We receive legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government and governments all around the world. Those are published on a third-party website, and anyone can review
Thank
them.
God for Matt Taibbi. Thank God for Elon Musk for allowing to show us in the world that Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI, censoring real medical voices with real expertise that put real Americans' lives in danger because they didn't have that information. I also want to thank one of my colleagues, Ro Khanna, because as it turns out, censorship isn't just an important issue to conservatives. Some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, like Ro, found this censorship very concerning, and even wrote to you and to folks at Twitter that he was concerned about the First Amendment being censored. So I want to thank him for speaking up and speaking out about this issue, because this should not be a partisan issue. This should be an issue that's an American issue.
So the favorite thing is, and you could tell that she's a weak witness, because I've seen a lot of witnesses that somehow stand their ground even though they're completely wrong and nuts. But this one's like, are you a doctor? No. Did the government, instruct you to do this? And then tries to go off, oh, they did, right? Yeah, they did. So, you were censored because, if you were censored, which, Twitter, I don't have Twitter, but Facebook, I'm still censored on it. It's come down a lot, but, the censorship there is unbelievable. Something that I'm like, I know that's a fact, but it's misrepresenting or whatever. Oh, why? Because it's negative, and so it doesn't represent what you want to represent, so that's why it's misinformation.
Well, that's what she called her out with the CDC,
right?
Because the lawyer for the ex-lawyer or the ex-Twitter lawyer said we only, wanted to make sure that public guidance, whatever was put out, was in sync with the CDC's guidance. And then Nancy's like, oh, or, funny that you say that, because here is someone with 18,000 followers that put CDC data on there.
Exact
and then
CDC.
You censored them for that because it was, like you said, pointing out information that they didn't want public. But it was because she tried to say that. I just thought that was such a great catch by Nancy, because as soon as she said that, she was like, well, let's talk about that. So you only put up and allow people to put CDC stuff. Well, here's a case where you censored this guy who literally had a screenshot of the CDC website. Just like, just crazy. I'm just in shock that the government working behind the scenes, it's called fascism.
Yeah.
When the government and corporations work in cahoots, because the government's not telling you can't say something, but they are through the corporations. And so the government and corporations are basically one entity controlling our lives.
Yeah, there's a real brainiac out there that sent me a message once, said I'm a fascist.
A lot of people.
I'm like, dude, you should stop smoking crack.
How are you a fascist? Are you out there advocating for Google and the government?
Idiots. Like, they are complete morons that have no clue, that live in some little bubble. Like, it's just nuts.
Oh, they've changed the definition of fascism. An authoritarian and nationalistic right-wing system of government and social organization.
Now, if you don't go on what you just did, if you go on somewhere else and Google it, the right wing's not in there. Because that's not, fascism was the Nazi, like, it's not right wing, it's nothing like that. It's about the control part. Like communists, saying that would be left wing. Communism. There's no party involved.
That is weird. That is not how I learned fascism when I was studying politics.
Well, Andrea looked up something one day that she learned in, like, with her LNA and all that stuff, and the definition changed. I think it was vaccine or something. And she's like, are you kidding me? So now they changed the definitions that they don't like. And who do you think changed that definition? Google, Bing, one of them, right?
I don't get it.
I just don't know what happened to this country that was governed by the Constitution. We let it just, like, do what it's doing. We let all this happen. None of this should be happening right now. None of it. But we just don't say nothing, right? We just, whatever, it's okay. It hasn't affected me yet. Really? Hasn't affected you yet? You ever tried to build a house? Well, CTE, trying to build the CTE, okay? And it was like this spot that was wetlands, right? Or you had to look into this and all these studies and all this complete bullshit. That's your government going to protect the, little frog and like the field next to the soccer field. It's like wetland. No, it's not. It's poorly drained. It's not wetlands. Wetlands is a swamp. Like most of Florida is wetlands.
Dude, the EPA is out of control underneath Democratic
bureaucrats, non-elected people that tell us what to do.
Yeah, I don't listen to a bureaucrat. Bureaucrat is like, you got to go to the laws. Like, yeah, you pass procedures and policies and everything else, but at the end of the day, are they in?
They're all legal.
Are they all in line with the laws? Right.
Right.
So they've changed it to now. It's called a corporatocracy. So they've changed it to where. I've never heard of corporatocracy. I studied politics for 4 years in college. First time I ever heard of corporatocracy. Like this, defining it as a fascist, basically, but... But, that's how our government's been going. They looked at corporations as individual people. They did that back under, I think, George W. Bush. Maybe Obama, but I think it was George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, regardless of you want to call it a corporatocracy, whatever, when the government stands back and allows corporations to take away your rights.
That's illegal.
They enforce stuff that is, just corporatocracy. It's woke. That's got to be some new. I wonder what. This just throws me off my whole. Granted, this is on Wikipedia, but multiple issues, personal reflection. Yeah, whatever. I don't like being wrong, and to look up fascism, and it says it's a far right nationalistic. Yeah, you can do that with Nazi Germany, right? Because that was all the nation all came together and everything. Everybody worked together. So yeah, it was fascist, but not because of their nationalism and all far ultra right wing, whatever they're trying to say. Is because the corporations and the government, they were one and the same.
Right.
Whatever.
It's just
I'll just agree to disagree with the entire internet that came up today, because
this is why I screenshot shit. So then down the road when I see something,
I haven't screenshot since I researched and did all that reading. Remember, I used to send you screenshots when we were citizens.
This is why I want my dad's encyclopedia collection. So you can go back and be like, oh, really? Because when this came out in 90 whatever, this was the actual definition. Like, who gets together and changes the definition of something? Like, who did we empower to do that? Did they ask me, you, or anyone else?
No, that's why.
Right? I mean, a free society. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you gave up your rights whenever, you
turn my computer on?
That's funny that you say that. Side note, I was trying to log on to a government website for my, because I deal with that because that's where I retired from. And my phone actually was, because the government, it actually tells you, like, once you agree to this, we're going to spy on you and your computer is now ours. Like, basically, it's like all your, whatever that video game quote was, all your whatever belonged to us now. That's how the federal government works whenever you sign into something like that. It's like, you've now given us access to everything on this device. But the phone blocked me from getting on it, and I was kind of glad, because I usually use an older device for that because I know that that's what they do, but I was being lazy. So I was kind of glad that Android actually was like, nah, don't go on this website because it's going to infiltrate your phone. Like a standard government website that, like, retirees or even active duty people get on. So you wonder why I don't trust anything, because I know what goes on, because that right there popped up on my phone saying, once you click on this, we own all your information, basically. We have access to it. At least they warn you or tell you, but...
Yeah, and if you say no, like if you don't accept the terms and conditions of your phone, then you don't have a phone.
Right.
So you're forced to either not have a phone or do that. Or, get burst ball and flip phone, but...
I'm not that far away from that.
Yeah. All right, so we got one more...
Oh, look at this. So I go on to the Tor browser, which allows you to not be in the United States, right? So it goes and finds you. So let me read it now.
Now the real definition of fascism.
So now the definition of fascism, whenever you leave the United States, so if you don't know about it, I have Tor browser, which hides my location. I wasn't using it before.
DuckDuckGo.
I'm using it now. Well, DuckDuckGo is bad too, but this is through the Tor browser. You see that? Anyway. A system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator, a capitalist economy subject to stringent government controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. All right, so we're lacking the belligerent nationalism and racism, even though some could argue that a straight white male is the number one enemy of society in America right now. I think that that's a fair statement.
The most discriminated is, yeah.
Like, I don't know if they're discriminated against, but they're not liked. They're because you're not
blamed for everything.
You victimize everybody.
I've never victimized anyone, but I've apparently, because I was born with this color skin and this genitalia.
But at least this has the capitalist economy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it still has the more of a better definition. So it just goes to show you that within, 2 minutes of you talking, I opened up my Tor browser, went anonymous online, and in the UK, I could probably go to a different country and get even a different definition of it.
That's why someone always told me if you want more accurate American news, you go to like BBC or something, because it's going to be biased to some degree, but not.
Well, the BBC is biased, right? Like it's part of the Big Six or whatever. Yeah. We used to go to Al Jazeera to watch, because who doesn't like Americans the most? But back in the Gulf, not the Gulf War, but Iraq and Afghanistan, when they were hot and heavy, you could watch those news and you could get a different take.
Yeah.
And they don't talk to you like this. Like I tried to watch. There was an interesting looking clip from one of those guys. It's a conservative commentator, but it was like a hit play, but he was undulating his voice up and down, like talking. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had to stop it. I didn't get to watch it. I feel better now. I couldn't let that go. I apologize. Thank you all for putting up with my.
I told you.
Divergent here.
When I was called a fascist, I Googled it, and then it came up with whatever, and I think it said right wing, and I just looked a little more, and I don't remember where I went, but I'm like, I went to the real definition of fascism. The right wing is not there. There's nothing to do with right wing.
No, that's because our society right now is just trying to divide us all.
Yes, they're trying to make you an ist of some sort.
What you and I are. Straight, white, hetero.
Yeah.
Woe is me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a woe is me attitude, but, like, it's very obvious that without some type of victim card to play.
Yeah, I don't need a victim
You're the
card.
victimizer.
Yeah.
It's all your fault. Thank you, Tim, for the society that we live in.
You're welcome. You tried. All right, here's another video.
Yeah, I like watching the ladies make these
This one's
witnesses.
even better. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene going off once again on Twitter and censorship.
Twitter execs, the fire execs.
Check this one out.
So let's talk about election interference, shall we? January 2nd, 2002, you permanently banned my Twitter account. This was the account that I would put my campaign ads on, raise money on, fight back when attacked with lies, and be able to talk to my voters in my district. But you banned it. And then let me explain. My account was not reinstated until November 21st, 2022. That was after my election on November 8th. You know, at your company, or your former company where you worked, Twitter employees, over 98% of them donate to Democrats. So while you coordinated with DHS, the FBI, the CIA, our government, and outside groups to permanently shadow ban conservative Americans and candidates like me and the former president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, you were censoring and wrongfully violating our First Amendment free speech rights. Guess what? None of you hold security clearances. None of you are elected, and none of you represent 750,000 people like I do. Let's explain. 52 United States Law 10101. No person shall intimidate, threaten, coerce, or attempt to stop any other person for the purpose of interfering with their rights to vote, or to vote as he may choose. You didn't shadow ban or permanently ban my Democrat opponent. No, you did that to me. And that was wrong, and it was against the law. You see, not only that, was it me that you violated my First Amendment rights, you violated countless conservative Americans. These were doctors that were trying to tell the truth about COVID, doctors that were having success treating people with ivermectin that you all would not allow to be talked about on your platform. These were parents complaining about their school boards, teaching gender lies in their schools, biological males entering their daughters' bathrooms and sports. These were also people questioning the 2020 election, and guess what? That's Americans' First Amendment right. These were people talking about voting machines. You know what? Democrats did that in 2019, before the 2020 election. On Twitter, people could question elections such as 2016, saying Hillary won, but in 2020, no one could question elections saying Trump won. You abuse the power of a large corporation, big tech, to censor Americans. And you want to know something? Guess what? I'm so glad that you're censored down. I'm so glad you've lost your jobs. Thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter. And you know what? Let's talk about something a little bit further. It's amazing to me, Mr. Roth, as the head and trust of safety at Twitter, your ability, or should I say inability, to remove child porn. Now, here's something that disgusts me about you. In your doctoral dissertation entitled Gay Data, you argued that minors should have access to Grindr, an adult male gay hookup app. Minors? Really? You know, Elon Musk took over Twitter and he banned 44,000 accounts that were promoting child porn. You permanently banned my Twitter account, but you allowed child porn all over Twitter. Twitter had become a platform, you said, connecting queer young adults. You also wrote on Twitter in 2010, can high school students ever meaningfully consent to sex with their teachers? In 2021, while you were the director of trust and safety on Twitter, an underage boy and his mother announced a lawsuit against Twitter because Twitter was benefiting from and refused to remove a lewd video featuring this boy and another minor. That is repulsive. But you violated me. What were my tweets? Okay, let's talk about them. I was talking about the deaths being reported on VAERS. By the way, that's on the CDC website. I was also saying that I didn't think any entity should enforce a non-FDA approved vaccine or mask. Guess what? A lot of people agreed with me, but you called that COVID misinformation. By the way, I'm a member of Congress and you're not. I also said the controversial COVID-19 vaccines should not be forced on our military. You want to know something? Republicans stopped that in the NDAA.
Ladies, time has expired.
And your time has expired. I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, normally it's like Jim Jordan or maybe Chip Roy or someone that has some of these, or Josh Hadley. Hadley?
No, Howley.
Howley, excuse me. So this was, well, probably because these two were probably just appointed to this oversight committee because, you know, before they weren't allowed, you know.
Well, you know, I watched a lot of this yesterday before I left. And it was just, it's interesting because, the Democrats pointed out a bunch of things that, so while they'll point out how the Democrats are working in collusion with the FBI, then the Democrat congressman, because it's supposed to be a bipartisan subcommittee that's looking into it.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be both, right? Like how,
and they all should be as pissed as her.
just how Nancy mentioned Ro Khanna and on the left agreeing with her, because it should both issues, because we're getting silenced, not necessarily us, but whoever's getting silenced today, it might be you tomorrow. It's always a thing. So, like, you don't want anybody to be silenced. It doesn't matter. Have the horrible whatever conversations with racist, sexist, misogynist, or walk away from them. But they should be allowed to say whatever it is that they think. Because when you take away people's ability to speak, when you take away the people's voice to vote on taxes without representation, what do? They rise up and start back over again and re-elect, or they elect new people, or worse. So, that's my take on it.
I don't know. I'm trying to get fired up, because like last night at dinner,
I just want to be fair, you know what I mean? So like you've got two clips here, but so those are good, but also there were,
I guess for me, at what
instances where Republicans allegedly did that during the Trump administration.
Right. At what point are people going to say enough? I'm done with this. I'm not dealing with this anymore. This is illegal. This doesn't represent me. At what point? How far does it have to go?
Well, look at Ireland. You see Ireland's finally starting to push back because they keep bringing all those migrants in, and they're like, why? We don't need, you know what I mean? So now people are taking to the streets and like, no. Like they're blocking off towns so they can't bring their busloads of migrants to their towns.
Like,
I mean, that's what like I see. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not there. So I don't know how big it is, but
it's all fear,
going on
right?
in Ireland. Like Ireland's like, no. Like we're not taking any more of these. Like we got our own issues. Like there's a whole continent down there that's gigantic. That's what? How much larger is Africa compared to Ireland? On the scale of like 100 times, I would say. Like it's big, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We'll say, yeah, we'll go 50 times the size. So you got a landmass 50 times the size of this one, but yet you need to bring in hundreds and thousands of people. Doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know,
But Ireland's, but like you said, what's it going to take? And I think.
When? At what point?
But so whatever it is in Ireland, it's got to take place in Texas. Like I'm from Texas, and it's like, why don't the men go down there and help out with the border and say, hey, this is our country? Like, because nobody wants because it's an inconvenience for them. Because then they might lose their job, their livelihood, right? So they have everybody over a barrel. You can't say what you really might be thinking. You can't do what you may want to do because you're going to lose your job and your livelihood if you try, because the corporations are in cahoots with the government, the bigger ones. Now, if you work for a small business and you're like, hey, let's go down to the border this week and help out and see if we can, that'd be one thing, right? Because you're a small business owner, but then you're taking a hit for that week that you're closed. So I don't know. That's interesting that people won't just stand up and protect themselves. At what point?
At what point? How much do you have to lose? How much do you have to give up?
I mean, they've already let more illegal aliens in than what, like in 10 different states, right? Like more people have come in that now negate 10 states of voters, right? Like that's the order of magnitude that we have allowed in the last 2.5 years.
Under Biden, it's like at like 4 million.
Well, it's all done on purpose. If you can't figure it out yet, like it's not because they're incompetent. I saw a video clip where it talked about shutting down the Nord Stream is what destroyed the country. On his first day in office, like he shut that down and inflation immediately started ticking up. Yep, the Keystone Pipeline, which we talked about that months ago.
Yeah,
on our first shows.
Well,
but that's on purpose. You know what I mean? So it's not because, yes, the guy Biden is a buffoon on stage and everything else, but it's people behind the scenes, because his Twitter account was tweeting while he was giving the State of the Union speech, which I know you can probably.
That dude ain't smart enough to tweet.
No, well, but I'm just saying, unless he had, you know what I mean? Like you felt like it was Trump tweeting because, you know, like they were like.
He stands there, he gives a speech, how it's like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. And that's what pisses me off the most is there's more than now, but there's 330 million how they want to add the illegals in. So we're at probably almost, 335 million plus in this country. Million. There's 435 congressmen and women. There's 100 senators. There's 9 judges, Supreme Court, and 1 president. So we're letting.
Yeah, well, they were never supposed to have this much power.
People.
You got to go back and read George Washington. He said all this. He said this is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. All the bureaucracy shouldn't exist. None of it should exist.
When Washington refused to be permanent president or made king or whatever, that was like one of the greatest moments in history. And unfortunately, I bet a lot of our population doesn't realize that.
No, because they're not taught U.S. history anymore. Not taught.
But I mean, imagine that. You could be the king of America, right? And he said, no. That's how,
That's how it all started.
Yeah.
And here we are again.
But to have that kind of foresight and humility and not an ego, to be a humble man like that.
Yep.
We're lucky because the world could be a lot different right now. You never know. It might be better, but Probably not. Just like he said, like this is how bad things happen. When good people stop paying attention or whatever. I don't know, whatever the quote is, but people are too busy with their lives to really care. And number one, the federal government's not supposed to be this powerful.
No, never was, ever.
Like our state government should be the ones that we're sitting here bitching and moaning about all the time.
Right. Not the federal government.
Now, the federal government with a Keystone Pipeline, now that might be something that would come up, right? Because it goes from Canada to here,
Sure.
so you got cross-country borders, whatever. So that, yes, he made a bad call. Just like we said on the last episode, if you don't have the technology ready, then you don't need to shut down the old technology.
Right. But in according to them, the world's going to end in, a matter of years.
What are we at now, 7 years?
Nah, I don't know. It's all going to just, poof, disappear. It just gets me that because of fear and everything else, like, the balance of here's the law and this is this, like, it's only there because people allow it to be there. Laws are invisible. There's nothing. It's not real. There's no substance. It's paper. It's a piece of paper. And everyone follows those, right? But when that all starts to become like, wait, this doesn't represent us. I didn't vote or give my opinion that, we'll let child molesters, off on, technicalities. And I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up that said that, we'll just got these murderers that murdered all these people. We're just going to be like, I'll put your life in jail and, we'll give you all this free stuff.
So the thing is not that you just didn't sign up for it. It's that the majority of us didn't sign up for it. And
none of us did. And
I guarantee you, most sane people will agree with you and would be like, yeah, why are you making it easier for this?
Right.
Like in California, making it as long as you're within 10 years of your victim, you don't get charged with a crime, up to 27 or whatever it is.
Or, sorry, jails are overpopulated. We have COVID going on, so we're going to let all these people out of jail. Sorry.
Well, that's classic destruction of a civilization, man. You cause chaos.
You look at the downfall of any nation through history, and we're walking right into it. Bert said it last night. Wasn't that how the Romans fell? Like, the Huns just walked in and they're, drugs and didn't have any money, and they just, like, it was just like whatever, right? Is this really the direction we're going? Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, if
it is.
But I think the majority, it's just people got to speak up. They got to realize that they're not alone, that like common sense still prevails. Most people.
But even today, they're still putting that in your head. Like, well, you can't. They censor you on Twitter. They censor you on Facebook. They're still telling you no. You can't have that opinion. You can't.
But you got to
think that way.
You got to be like, you don't tell me what to do, Bubba.
Exactly.
So do what we did, which is you got a backup account on Rumble.
Right.
And then if Rumble kicks us off, then we'll just go to like
whatever,
man. Just walk around town talking to people. Maybe that'll do more good.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll do more good.
Like, people have to stop being scared of.
Yeah, just like bad is bad, right? Like hurting people is bad. Saying something that hurts someone's feelings, yeah, that's bad, but it's also like, it's not physical pain. Sticks and stones. I believe in that. Like, yeah, it hurts, because then you got to go back and think about it, and it really hurts if it's true. That's when it really hurts, right? So when mean words hurt you, it's like, well, wait, that hurts me because it's true. Because if I'm accusing you of something and you don't know me from Shinola, why do you give a shit what I think? You know what I mean? Like, somebody could sit there and...
But that's...
Like, they don't know us from watching the show, right? Like, some of this is kind of character-driven, right? Like, we're not fully who we really are on this. Like, we're pretty authentic. But even here, though, there's certain things that we won't say just to try to make sure that we don't get censored that easily.
Right. I mean, it's happened so much that, you're an ist if you disagree with this. You're you're transphobic if you don't believe an 8-year-old should get a sex change.
I saw a clip of.
I won't play that game.
She used to be on Fox News. I can't remember. She's blonde. They made a movie about her. She's the one that challenged Trump. Do you remember her name? Megan? No, not. I almost said Michelle Malkin, but it's not her. This is a blonde woman. Anyway, she was talking about, like, she went into a rage attack because some guy was talking. It was a transsexual talking about the first visit to the gynecologist. Man, she went off about, like, and I empathized with her because I don't understand any of that, you know. And she's like, to try to compare yourself to me, you know, when I've all the things that women have had to go through, like her whole life, you know, like she went through a whole litany of things, like walking back to her dorm after, you know, on the way back from the library, like watching shadows and being concerned as a, you know, young woman at college or whatever. Like she went through this whole litany of things, and I was like, she dropped an F-bomb.
Good for her.
She went off. Like I was, and it was on YouTube.
Wow. Maybe
It was that guy that I tell you sits there and is like, you know, he just clipped her show and was like, she's on point.
Yeah.
So she didn't even get credit for me watching that. The other guy did.
Think about it. The left cares so much about women's rights and everything that they're setting you back before.
No, yeah, that's
yes, that
their
male
logic. Their
that
logic
thinks,
is all imploding around them. Like eventually, they're not going to be able to support anybody.
they're brain dead idiots.
But you know what I mean? Like at a certain point in time, there's only going to be one victim left.
Them.
No, it's not going to be them. That's the thing.
In their mind, it'll always be them. They're always the victim.
Yeah, but the real victim will let them know that, you know what I'm saying? Like it never ends. And so today you feel like you're a victim, but tomorrow someone's going to be more of a victim than you, and then you're thrown out.
Yeah,
You're
like-
not quite straight white hetero male, but
Yeah. You're not.
your hierarchy position
the-
gets knocked down, and so you're less of a victim. Dude, it's so weird. I don't even know.
It's
It's the
insane.
unpopular kids in high school or middle school, right? Because you have different groups. They felt like they didn't have any power, so now they've consolidated and gotten power, and now they're trying to force onto, you know, what they perceived as the cool group. But like everybody is cool in their own way. Like high school is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's such.
You're,
it's
like,
not
you know what
reality.
I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, like
Right.
Like I got like 7 friends from high school, right? I have none from college. I mean, I could call up some people and whatever, but like they're not friends. I don't know. This world's crazy, Tim.
Yeah, you're letting this. You talk about. You hear 1% all the time, right? The 1% don't pay taxes. 1%, 1%. Well, the 1% in the country is trying to control the whole country, and we're all like, "Oh yeah, don't cancel me. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry."
they're controlling the country because
Well-
when they locked the country down, you could only go to Walmart, Amazon,
Yeah,
the liquor store,
you.
the grocery store if you followed the lines.
I very, very
Good.
often say things
Good
that,
cattle to slaughter.
like, I say things that other people, they're thinking they'd like to say, but they don't have the balls to say it. And you know why I say it? Because I don't care, and you can't cancel me. You can't. Sure, you could kick me off YouTube somehow. You could do a lot. You could try to do a lot.
I'm not going to change
You
your
won't
mind. You're not going
silence
to
me?
get beat down into submission and
No.
be like, oh, I was wrong.
No, you'll just make me stronger and piss me off more, and I'll rise up more because that's who I am. Like I won't play this game. Like I have an almost 3-year-old, and Andrew's pregnant again, so I'm gonna have another daughter in July. And I after we left the meeting last night, I looked at her and I was like, what kind of world do we want for our kids? Because if we just keep going the way we are and do nothing, what kind of world are they going to have? What kind of world are they going to have? Ask yourself that. You're out there right now, you listen to the show, whatever. What kind of world are your kids or your grandkids, if you're older, what kind of world are they going to live in that this track we're on right now, and we're just standing here and the law is on our side. The Constitution was written for us. the First Amendment, the Second Amendment literally says shall not be infringed, yet they're constantly trying to infringe it. Constantly.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that believe that that's for hunting rifles.
Right.
Well, you saw that clip, right? Did we show that with Nadler trying to argue with Jim Jordan or whoever
Yeah,
it was?
Chip Jordan, yeah. Or Chip,
Chip
Roy.
Roy, yeah.
Because he's an idiot. You've been in the government your whole life. You don't even know what the freaking Constitution
Well, that's
means.
like Schumer, man. Schumer like graduated from college and then was elected, and he hasn't done anything in the real world since.
Most of them haven't. Just been
But
politicians.
yeah, because that's the way that they look at it. Like when I studied, like the easiest way to look at like politics in America, back in the 90s anyway, it was the left thinks that you're a moron and you need to be told what you can and can't do and how to do it and when to do it. And the right is like, whatever, man, like just do whatever you want to do and leave businesses alone, right? So that was like the grand, if I were to summarize what I learned in 1995 about the two political parties. And so I've always addressed it, and you can see it day in and day out. Like on the clips we watch, she's like, who are you to tell me that who are you to tell these trained doctors that we prop up these colleges, Harvard and Stanford, and you have no medical degree and you're censoring them? Like you're sitting there like smug. How are you like?
And Mace has side effects from the vaccine, and your censorship probably got insane amount of people to take it that wouldn't have maybe taken it if it wasn't for all the censorship.
Or at least they would have had a conversation with their doctor about like, hey.
Or they could have made a decision based off of multiple things, not just one side.
Well, that's about informed consent, right?
Right. So, where was that? No, doesn't seem to exist. Although it's interesting, I saw a thing the other day on We the People, New Hampshire. The guy said that, and this is what pissed me off. This is why I won't go to doctor's appointments. It's like Andrew has to go to appointments. I won't go because I won't wear a mask. I won't do it.
Yeah, I wonder why hospitals are still playing that game.
It's ridiculous. It's time to end it. Well, so this guy goes to the doctor's office and says, I'm not wearing a mask. And they say, well, you need to leave then. So he calls him back the next day. I like that in writing that you will not serve me because I won't wear a mask. No, we'll serve you without a mask. You can come in. Well, why? Because you just realized you turned him away, which is illegal, and you're violating his rights by saying you have to wear a mask to be here. So the hospital every day is still doing it, and it's illegal. They have no right to tell you have to wear a mask in a hospital. They have no freaking right.
They don't?
Did you somehow, like, give them the permission to tell you what you're going to do? Somehow they're the government. They're the rule maker, right? Because they practice medicine and they're supposed to be there to help you. And no, obviously there's certain places like, yeah, this.
What's their building? So, I mean, I guess they could say that. But they're also denying you
A human right?
Is it? Is medical care a basic human right?
I mean, if you're having a heart attack and you don't have money, they have to help you. Like, there's a law. So they can't technically deny you life-saving efforts or whatever. Now, you're right. It is a private building. How much federal money goes into that?
Oh, the whole thing after COVID. It was all pumped full of COVID
And
money.
where's that money come from? Me and you. So,
Well, that goes back to the old definition of fascism, right? They're working on behest of the government, even though they're not, but they are.
right. Too big to fail.
Or they're the ones telling the government what to do. However you want to look at it. Like in this case, because we're talking about hospital systems, I'm sure there's a medical society that.
And how long before some of these people that work there, and have worked there for 3 years now, like start to have health issues because they wear a mask every single day for hours and hours and hours and hours?
It'll be interesting because the studies I read that have been done over the last 30 years showed that they're detrimental to emotional health, to physical health, to your ability to concentrate. #facts, NIH website. Real science. According to, if you believe that if it's peer reviewed and it makes it to the publication and no one's blatantly saying, oh, I have an issue with your data set or whatever, so this information is faulty. Couldn't find that on there. And that's usually how they do it. Whenever it's peer reviewed, they'll let you know where all the flaws that they think that they found as other experts in that area. I don't know. I'm an idiot, though, because I can read that. Even though I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving anybody medical advice. But I'm saying use your own discernment and read it for yourself. You don't have to be a doctor to understand the English language. Now, the standard across the country is diminished to where you only need to be like 58% proficient or 65% proficient. Remember we talked about that? Like they don't even want you to, like 100% of graduates to be proficient. Like you should all be proficient and, you know,
why do you think that
filing
is?
your taxes, because we should teach all these kids, hey, when you graduate, if you haven't filed taxes yet, you're going to have to. And here's how you make sure that you don't give any extra dime to the government. That's my take on it. Like I am not a fan of taxation without representation. And a lot of times our tax dollars are going, and it's like, you know that the polls show you 60% of the people feel this way. Now, your district, it might be the other way around, right? So there might be some districts where they disagree wholeheartedly because of whatever reason.
The reality is if you went to every one of those people's houses and sat down with them and said, do you think this is okay? There would be like, wait, no. Because most of these people vote because it's, I've always done this, I've always voted this way, I always vote this way. Not because I like look at things, I don't know, we're just going to do it this way.
Like in the history of the world, voting is a right that people struggled for and have died for and have wanted. And we have it, and people take it for, you know, they don't do the research. That, like you said, they go and they're like, oh,
well,
I grew up this way, so I'm going to vote this way.
We're the,
do you know why you're voting?
We're the freest country, and we have the most rights and everything in the whole world, and, you know, right? That's what we're told, right? So that's funny because some of the things that we see every day that happen, or we see stories online or whatever happen, you know, in other countries, those people would like rise up and that shit would be done and that wouldn't happen no more. On America, we just like, oh, that's fine. No big deal.
Well, no, because it's you don't want to be hassled with it.
Right.
You got Jeff Dunham to go to tonight. You got all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You can't deal with it tonight. Maybe tomorrow you'll get to it.
Right. I don't know. What are you trying to find?
Just because I'm on here, I was going to look and see like what the news on Brazil is from other countries.
Yeah, what's going on in Brazil right now?
Well, according to Australia, I'm on the Australian one now. No more divided than the U.S. So Lula's still over there, huh? So they didn't. They still got. Oh, that was 3 months ago, 28 days ago.
This Ireland thing's interesting. I haven't heard. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, let's see.
I mean,
Real quick.
Northern Ireland and well, the IRA and stuff. They've been fighting for years, but I don't know. When did America lose its? Yeah, you're not going to do that here. Or you're not going to. But I guess, you know, when you got to watch every word you say because you might offend someone. Well, offend you? Sucks to be you. Seems like a you problem, not a me problem.
So they're making it. President of Ireland says recent anti-immigrant sentiments is unforgivable. What?
Yep. So you're a bad person if you don't want hundreds of thousands of people to invade your country
And take your jobs. And, you know, the other thing is like, you don't see much about it around here, but like in UK, there's a lot of like gangs that brutalize young kids.
No, our government does that. We don't need gangs.
No, but like they censored people for trying to talk about it. Remember that guy got arrested?
No, I don't remember.
I can't remember his name, but there was a guy that was arrested for like filming them. It's totally. We're not in a free society, the free world. You know what I mean? Like the world is not free.
So it was interesting. I was in Aruba like, man, I don't know, 7 years ago, something like that. We're on this excursion, and these man and wife and his 2 kids, I think, she had asked the tour guide, I was like, hey, what do you do about like immigration, if someone comes in here illegally, whatever, and he's like, we put them on a boat and we send them right back to where they came from. And you could tell she was like, I don't think she thought that answer was going to be said, and she was kind of like turned off by it. I'm like, fucking right, that's the way it should be done, right? Nope, that's not what we do. We just bring them on in. Let's take more.
So this article is from February 9th on Unheard. Don't know anything about this website, but I can't remember where. But it basically says that there were 307 anti-migrant protests in 2022, while 2023 has already seen 64. The latest demonstration in Dublin, more than 2,000 protesters took to the streets. The focal point is the East Wall in Dublin, after the government converted a state building into a migrant residence without consulting locals. Hundreds of people started to gather week after week. So again, they did it without talking with the people.
Ukrainians. Refugees started to arrive from Ukraine.
Yeah, but that's not the only place that they're getting them.
Oh, I'm sure.
Here's my whole thing. We talked about it before. Males, the age of like 19 to 39 or 49, whatever it is, those are fighting age males that should not be leaving their country.
But in the United States, from 18 to 45, there's like 7.5 million of those working age men that just aren't working. And that is what they're saying is why we're such a staffing shortage. There's like 1.5 jobs to.
So why aren't they working? Have they figured that out? Is it drugs? Is it depression?
Probably a combination of that.
Are we giving them money to stay home and not work?
Probably some of that.
It's amazing where our alleged tax dollars go.
Now think about it. If you're a family that's been affected by drugs, God forbid you had a family member overdose, died of drugs, whatever. There's enough of them now, around here even. Don't you think you'd be pissed? Don't you think you'd be, like, obviously the people that are supposed to be doing the job aren't doing their damn job? Because if you're going to tell me you couldn't stop fentanyl from coming in this country, then you are a moron. Because
especially the ones that that maybe they thought they were doing a recreational drug and then it's laced with fentanyl and they die.
They're like literally coming
now
after
the people that are out there like using fentanyl, like they're.
Dude, they put fentanyl in marijuana now. They you can't even. You have to warn your kids yeah, all right, it's marijuana, but if it has fentanyl in it, you're going to die, and that's literally coming around here, and kids are ODing with little vape things because people are putting fentanyl in them. So,
Allegedly.
Sure.
I mean, I guess I don't know.
But, once again, at what point are you going to stop it? Well, I can't do nothing. Bullshit. Rise up and say, I'm done with this. If the cops don't want to do their job, or the people above them don't give them the power to do their job, whatever, the southern border's wide open. They're just letting them come in, and they say this is the worst case of human smuggling they've ever seen, because it's always been an issue down the border. But the United States government, at least some of them, are literally just other countries should be bringing the United States up on charges of human trafficking.
Yeah,
the UN should be like,
our country is not as pure and as clean as we. And when I say our country, I mean the
government,
our government and bureaucracy.
Right.
I mean, there were always whispers when I was in the military. They're just, yeah.
Here's a meme.
So here's the finish. Hang on, to finish this up. The number of international protection applications in the first half of last year went up by 200% compared to an average increase of 25%. It's because they have other asylum seekers trying to piggyback off the Ukraine thing. So it's not just Ukrainian. You have asylum seekers from, which I had said before, from Africa, and they're 18 to 49-year-old males that should be staying in their country to make it better. That's the whole point. Usually you don't get to seek asylum unless you're a leader of that and that country agrees with your stance, and then you can seek asylum, because if you go back into there and they find you, you're dead. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my take on it. I granted, I'm not an expert on migration and immigration law and all that other stuff and asylum seekers. I just know that being in the military, 18 to 49 is fighting age.
Yeah.
Or 39. I
Yeah,
can't
the
remember if
first
it's
one's out of
49 or
country.
39. I hope it's 39 since I'm in my 40s, but I think it's 49. Might even be older depending on how bad the conflict is.
So I saw this meme. I think I might have mentioned this on the show before.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, it totally fits in with everything. I don't remember this as too young. Maybe you do. Remember Gary Webb? In 1996, Gary exposed how the CIA hired drug traffickers to sell massive amounts of cocaine in the United States in order to raise untraceable funds to finance terrorist organizations who were trying to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. These massive shipments of cocaine ultimately sparked the crack epidemic that decimated inner cities during the 90s. As a result, mainstream media vilified Gary Webb and what's the Wikipedia guy?
Wikipedia? WikiLeaks?
WikiLeaks, excuse me.
Julian Assange?
Assange. You could add in those too. Destroyed his career, which also destroyed his marriage, but he refused to back down. In 2004, he was found dead with 2 bullet wounds to his head, and his death was ruled as suicide, and this man really lost everything. To give us a glimpse of the truth, don't let his memory fade or what he stood for fade. Yeah, I never heard anyone kill themselves with 2 shots. It's pretty skillful right there. But I mean, if you watch any like narco shows, which I like watching those too, the federal government always picks a side, and it's so fucking corrupt, dude.
Dude, there's corruption everywhere. Like
Reagan's
I
war
tell
on
you all the
drugs
time,
made
I
it
believe
worse.
in the good of people. I believe most people want to do well. You know what I mean? But there are some people out there that they just want money and power and acclaim, whatever it is, right? So like their ego drives them. Instead of being driven by love and compassion, they're driven by power and exerting it over others.
And none of this can change if you don't get out and vote and you don't get involved.
Right. Like, have conversations with everybody.
Yeah, when there's 6,500 people in your town and 900 vote, that's not doing your job.
Yeah, well, it's not using you are blessed to be able to have a voice.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, how much longer is that going to go?
I don't know. Until you're like, yeah, exactly.
All right, Steve, here's your meme. This was yours you sent me. We'll wrap the show up. They hate our country. They'll invite the world's economic migrants. Call you racist for opposing it. Send your jobs abroad. Sexualize your children. Spying you if you point it out. And then the same, only slower. So that's what the Democrats doing, and Republicans just a little slower at it.
Yeah, that's why I call it the uniparty, is because
It is a uniparty.
yeah, because like
Same country club, same friends,
Lindsey Graham
same donors.
Lindsey Graham fooled me one time, man. He was all fired up about something. I was like, yes, something's going to happen. And then like months went by, and then a year, and it's like, well, Lindsey Graham's all talk, right? But he did his job. He got me fired up, thinking, all right, now something's going to happen, right? So I kind of like stopped kind of following that.
We're going to write a letter.
Yeah, that's ooh, yeah, exactly.
Damn.
But you know, he made it sound like he was going to do more than that. But like that might have been what he
Little
ended up doing.
frog, friggin' Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, he's garbage.
So many of them.
Mitch McConnell's a turtle.
Turtle. Excuse me. I apologize to frogs out there everywhere. I also apologize to turtles out there everywhere that,
Unfortunately, Mitch looks like you.
yeah.
Anyway, that's you know, you could put any other. You know, I just thought it was funny because it points out that it's basically the same. The Republicans just it takes a longer time to get there, whereas Democrats go in and act. They actually get stuff done. I'll give them that credit, man. The Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, they F up everything, but they
at
least they try. They do it.
Yeah, they do it.
I mean,
Republicans talk about it, and
Yeah.
him and Haw, and
right.
set up committees to talk about forming another committee.
And then no action.
No action.
No action.
Which, no action is how the federal government should be on most things, by the way. But at the same time, like, we need action to take away. And we're sitting here waiting for them to take power and authority away from themselves or their bureaucrats. Probably not going to happen.
Probably not.
Not until you got to vote them out. But then, does your vote count? Some places more than others, maybe.
Think how
Allegedly.
Think how scared they were on January 6th in that fake ass insurrection.
They weren't scared. That was all allegedly. I mean, you could watch the videos of Ray Epps, and I thought the Republicans were going to release all 20,000 hours of. I mean, it's been over a month now, and they still haven't released it because they could put a lot of this stuff to bed. Because if I'm wrong and it really is, it's worse, then I'll apologize and admit that I was wrong. I have a sinking suspicion, though, since Pelosi had a camera crew following her around that day to make a documentary.
And the cops let him in, open the door. Hey, come on
You can
in.
watch that video where the guy does this to the camera, and then next thing you know, because he tries to open the door, he can't. He looks up. Now, is that a fake video? Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like in this day and age, you can fake just about anything. Like Kamala's gills.
Can't fake Joe Biden being smart.
Well, you could. You could put somebody in a mask and let them talk.
No one would believe it was Joe Biden, though.
That's probably. They'd be like, that's a man in a mask. That's too smart. He didn't start yelling and whispering all in the same paragraph about random things. I don't know. Crazy world, Timothy.
Yeah. Anyways, on a positive note, get out, enjoy the Winter Carnival this weekend if you're from Newport. If you're not from Newport, enjoy whatever else is going on around you. If you're from Texas, enjoy the warm weather. Oh, it's pretty warm up here right now. It's not bad.
Nice. I know.
Next week's looking good, too. Next week, like I said, we're supposed to have Chief Lee coming in on Thursday. I'm going to try and get some more people in, too. Hopefully next week. No, it's not. Hopefully it's going to happen one way or another. Might not even be finished. I just so want the new setup that
Should we get us some real chairs so that we're not? Because I feel like my elbows need to be here because I'm always sitting like this. I have poor posture.
You buy us chairs. I made us the thingy.
I'll look for some affordable.
Ocean State.
I'll go to Ocean State, see what they got.
We're sitting like this next week.
Hey, man,
So
don't knock Ocean
comfy.
State. I love the state. Free advertisement.
Yeah, they got some good stuff there. Thanks, Doug Ring.
Yes.
I mean, for me, thanks to Doug Ring because he's bailed me out a million times this winter. But he had messaged and was like, "Hey, I want to sing about. Really liked how Twin State was on the computer. Can I get?" And I was like, "Yep, can do that." So shout out to him. I said he's bailed me out.
I met him after the. It was before or after before I voted last year. He was standing outside, shaking hands. So I talked to him for about 7 minutes.
He generally cares about things. We went up. Just
I
before
liked
the
everything
election.
he had to say.
We shot a little video up on Maple Street.
I voted for him. I'll say it.
Big potholes were, and
He
went
probably
up.
doesn't know that or care, but I voted for him after talking with him. Spending 7 minutes with him outside. It might have been 5, but it was a while. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I liked some of his ideas.
Yeah, because they're more like the people,
Yeah.
Nah.
Appreciate it. Mr.
Yeah.
Ring.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. Good luck to the Carnival contestants tonight. And Andrea's going there. I'm going to Jeff Dunham. I think you're going to Jeff Dunham with me. If his wife lets him. And
She felt like, please don't be at the house when I get home.
I know. She's freaking. She probably shouldn't text me. Can you take him away somehow? Can you bring him somewhere for me? Yeah. Thanks for watching the Tim and Steve Show. We will see you next week.
Artlist.io